But if we feel like we're constantly being drugged back and we're not making progress toward our goals, that's where we're going to get burned out. Right?
Or we make big changes because we know we need to change and nobody recognizes it, and you still feel like you're beating your head against a wall. That can lead to burnout big time.
We get wound up in just the doing and doing and doing, and we forget what we're actually supposed to be doing it for.
Yeah.
Focusing on something that is truly making progress toward a goal and objective that is fulfilling for us, not always trying to satisfy everybody else's expectations, but being able to be okay with who we are and satisfying our own expectations.
Love it. Welcome back. This is the Massive Passive Income Show.
He's Jason.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Colter.
And this is Colter. And I'm excited about this episode. Sometimes we get together, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we talk about what we're going to talk about, and sometimes we hit it spur of the moment when we get here. So this is something you hit up with, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about hard work isn't necessarily the thing that brings burnout, right?
Okay.
What it is it's an insecurity with what it is that we're doing and focusing on whether it's in the minute or it's in the day or it's in the weeks and months that add up to years, right?
So you're saying we feel like we have to work hard because we're insecure about whatever we're doing?
Yeah. We're not secure in the position we're in, or we're focused on something that isn't necessarily important to us, and we're trying to think outside of ourselves as to what the factors are that we can't necessarily control. Like, I am going to buy real estate, or I am going to go get ice cream because I know that it doesn't make me feel good, but my wife wants it, but I'm going to do it because I want to please her, which I should do anyway.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now I'm trying to just fishing for examples, but I'm doing something as an action toward satisfying somebody else's interpersonal needs and desires, rather than focusing on what it is that helps me feel good about myself. Ice cream, I know, doesn't make me feel good, other than for the 90 seconds it takes for me to eat the couple of scoops.
There you go.
Right?
So you got to dig more into that. You got another example. Let's unpack that a little bit more.
Sure. So let's come back to the premise of it. Hard work does not lead to burnout.
Okay.
Right? Burnout is a matter of being not self-aware or being insecure in the things that we are actively focused on in whatever period of time, right? Okay. And so if I am trying to control external factors, including somebody's perception of me, rather than focusing on the things that I know make me happy and fulfilled and accomplished, that's going to lead to burnout.
Okay. So somebody else's expectations and not your own? Yeah. So to speak?
Yeah, if I don't have my own internal expectations, then what am I shooting for?
Or your own internal drive of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
And you're doing it for somebody else or doing it for some other reason? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if I'm doing it for a reason other than to satisfy my intrinsic interests, then I'm going to burn out from having to try and please everyone else except for the person that is starting. I mean, if it's not me. Right?
Yeah.
If I don't start with me, if I can't take care of my health, my wealth, my relationships, my security in my position, then how is it that I'm going to be able to serve the world and satisfy all of those other expectations, which may be made up? They may be, this fictitious thing anyways.
Yeah.
But I can't satisfy all of those until I understand who I am personally.
So digging a ditch, for lack of a better word, digging a ditch for somebody else, you're just digging that ditch, unless you're doing it because you love to dig a ditch, or you're going to benefit from that ditch, you're going to get burnout because you're digging it for somebody else and what they're going to do with the water or do with the ditch. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely the ditch.
I'm just trying to put it into, so it could be anything. It could be anything. Yeah, working for somebody else, doing concrete, doing construction, flipping houses, whatever it is. If you're working for somebody else, if you're doing something for somebody else, and working hard, if you're not doing it for you or doing something for your goals, or something that you believe in, you're going to get burnt out because you're helping somebody else achieve what they want. That's why they don't get burnt out. It's like
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that I'm not serving other people. Like I have to serve other people in order for there to be a value exchange.
not being
right?
true to yourself.
Me working for me means that I'm going to have to work with other people.
Yeah.
But I have to be satisfied with the direction that I'm going, right?
Okay.
So if I'm going to go and if my job is to dig ditches, right, in that example, then what is my value exchange? Am I going to be paid for that? Is it on an hourly basis or a salary basis? Am I going to be paid on a contract?
You're saying pay may be the difference.
Pay may be the fulfilling factor, right? And so if I'm not satisfied or I'm not fulfilled in being able to provide for me, myself, my family, then I'm going to get burned out because I feel like I'm never getting ahead. But if I feel like, hey, you know what? Wherever I'm working, they're taking care of me.
Yeah.
It's secure. They're good to me. They want to reward and recognize. It isn't always necessarily based on pay.
Yeah.
It's reward and recognition.
They tell me I'm the best ditch digger in the state.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, praise and recognition is huge. You know, men die for it, babies cry for it, right? Recognition. And that's huge. Sometimes people will work for less money because the culture at a place is a culture of appreciation, a culture of praise, a culture of, hey, you are awesome, you're part of the team. People work for less money because of that culture than they will by, hey, come work over here and we're gonna treat you like crap and you're not gonna be part of our team, but you'll make more money. People would rather make less money and be part of a better culture. Yeah, I love that. So the burnout. So talk about the burnout factor. If you're not getting that, then what happens?
Well, then we burn out and either we give up or we push through. And the pushing through, if we're completely burned out, right, the giving up isn't necessarily just up to us.
Yeah.
Right? The burnout could be, hey, you know what, mentally I'm burned out and so I'm done, right? Or I am physically burned out and so I'm done, meaning I don't get out of bed or I'm mentally checked out. I show up to go and dig ditches and I hurt myself because I'm not prepared to be there.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I see people that do that in marriages. They get burnt out because whatever the reason was that they were in it, they're not in it anymore, or they don't feel like they're being valued, don't feel like they're bringing anything. And it could be both ways, you know. I see that happen.
Yeah, and they continually feel like they're spinning their wheels and trying to satisfy the other person.
Without satisfying themselves. Yep.
Or finding a way of being able to, satisfy, their personal interest and desires.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
we don't want to go down the marriage rat hole. I shouldn't say rat hole. What's a better word to use? The marriage phenomenon. The marriage phenomenon.
Let's just give a disclaimer right now. Neither Jason or I are qualified to give marriage advice or counsel.
And neither one of us are any kind of marriage rat hole. So that's a good disclaimer. But we could spend a day on that. I just want to use that example of if you're not, you could get burnout. And I see people get burnout in a marriage. And usually it's because the fire is gone, the light is gone, something's missing. And so they're like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
I could go get my butt kicked someplace else and wouldn't have near the heartache.
Well, and just to come back to what we led off with is that hard work isn't necessarily what leads to burnout, right? We can work hard for a marriage. We can work hard to dig a ditch. We can work hard to do a number of different things that, at the end of the day, they can or cannot be fulfilling depending on our personal security and interest and self-awareness in the fulfilling and completion of those tasks that get that particular job or focus done.
Yeah. I kind of had a breakthrough with my daughter the other day. She's selling solar in Hawaii. And she calls me, every other day or something. She's like, man, I'm all in my head. I haven't sold anything yet today. And I'm like, wonder why I'm even here. And I will rent this week. And if I don't at least close something, I won't even break even. She's all up into her head. And so I've been trying to talk to her and say, hey, look, get some kind of routine in the morning. Get some way you can get your mindset right before you even leave the house. She's like, well, I feel like people call me and I give them my energy. So I taught her a way to give them energy without sacrificing her own energy. And so I taught her that skill, and she's like, okay, that's great. Well then, like she's been doing this, she did last summer, she did this summer, and she called me, she goes, Dad, I did everything this morning. I made my bed. I read my scriptures. I listened to something motivational. I said my prayers. And she went through all this stuff. And she goes, and I hyped everybody up without taking away my energy and hyped me up. And I got out here and she goes, I'm all up in my head. And it hit me. I'm like, Grace, just because you did all the right things before you left the house doesn't mean you got to keep working at it. You know, you got to keep doing it. And she's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you still need that motivational quote. You still need that why that you can think about. You still need something that can help you keep going. It's great to leave the apartment all jazzed up, but you got to keep yourself jazzed up along the way. And then I said, I don't want to ever hear from you again that says, should I even be here? You're there. You're there until you leave. You've already committed to it. So stop second guessing yourself and be celebrating. You know what? I'm in Hawaii. I see the ocean every morning. I go walk on the beach every night. Like regardless of whatever you're going to make money, I said, be happy with your in the decision and things will change. 2 days later, she got 3 bills. Just from switching that. I said, people can feel your energy. People can feel your authenticity. And if you're not authentically standing there, you know, happy you're in Hawaii, thinking of all the other places you could be, but you're there and you're selling solar and you could help and serve people. I said, people can feel that. You'll find some people. You'll find you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, you know. But I said, it's the extras, the other people that you got to connect with that maybe want solar, but you can't get that connection because you're not being, you know, authentic. And man, it was awesome. I love, because sometimes you talk to your kids and it just goes one in ear and out the other, and it has for a little while. She's picked up on a few things, but it's great when she's like, I get it. This really is a decision. And that's what I've told him from day one, you know, Dad, I'm depressed, or Dad, I'm not feeling very good. And I said, well, just decide not to. And they all make a joke. Oh yeah, just decide not to. Yeah, it's that easy. Well, it's not that easy, but it is that easy. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously there's people that chemically depression, it's real. Anxiety's real, but you can either decide, I'm going to give into this thing, or you can decide, I'm going to do something about it. Mm-hmm. And the people that decide, I'm going to do something about it, whether it's get medicated, whether it's get out, whether it's get some kind of routine to get you in the right mindset, that's the difference between you staying in bed for 5-6 years like Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, or you get outside and you do something else.
Yeah. It totally is a decision.
I don't know if did I spin that?
No, you did.
Or is that go along with what we're talking about?
You flipped it in an awesome direction.
Okay, yeah.
For sure.
I think that's kind of what we're talking about. I mean, it's all about, you find your purpose, you find what makes you click. And I love how you say what makes you, what's serving you and yourself. If you stop serving you and you're just serving other people, you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. So you got to find what it is that you like about whatever it is that you're doing. And I used to tell people all the time, you know, embrace the suck. Sure, school sucks. Embrace it. Sure, this stinks. You know, it's not probably going to get better, but you got to get through it. You got to graduate. You've got to get through this. You got to finish the summer off. Just embrace it. Once you embrace it and move into it, then you don't have to keep thinking, oh, I should be someplace else, or oh, I could be doing this. You just got to embrace the suck. That's probably one of my favorite.
Embrace the suck.
It's so true. Fall in love with the process.
Fall in love with the process. Yeah, and that's just it. We do need to fall in love with the process. We have to be okay with the fact that it isn't always just going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Yes.
It is going to take work to get to the point where we want to go, right? We will, and if we're not focused on the things that help us make progression toward that, doesn't mean we're not going to have setbacks. Yeah. But if we feel like we're constantly being drugged back to a prior state that wasn't comfortable, and we're not making progress toward our goals, that's where we're going to get burned out, right?
Or we make big changes because we know we need to change and nobody recognizes it, and you still feel like you're beating your head against a wall. That can lead to burnout, big time. Big time. Yeah. Like, oh man, I keep doing things. I keep changing things. I keep trying to impress my boss. I'm showing up earlier now. I've read some books on how to dig a ditch better. I've done all this different stuff. I went and bought some better equipment. You know, all this, and he's still hammering you and beating you up, saying you're no good, you're worthless, you're not doing a good job. Man, you can burn out fast on something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that topic because I think a lot of us get into that burnout. I've got into it in my life a lot.
Well,
you know?
And it's easy to do.
It is.
Right?
We
get wound up in just the doing, and we forget what we're actually supposed to be doing it for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, driving a truck up and down the interstate, whatever job you've got, working out the site, you run a business, wherever you're at, man, if you don't have a purpose that's a little bigger than you or a reason why you're there, it's going to burn you out. It's going to burn you. Or if you're not thankful for where you're at, or if you have people that are beating on you all the time, there's a lot of different things that can burn you out. My burnout with driving a truck was being gone all the time and working nights. Man, I thought I could do that for 30 years. I got into it about 8-9 years and I'm like, I got to get out of here. No way. And not saying people that do it aren't, are doing something wrong. Well, it's just me. I just couldn't do it for another 20 years. Couldn't do it. Well, I got burned out.
It happened to me too, right? Yeah. And I was traveling internationally for work and I loved what I was doing, but I was also tired of being gone all the time, right? I would get a call and say, hey, I need you in India in 48 hours. Oh, really? Yeah, so I jump on 28 hours worth of flights to get to India.
To spend 5 hours and then 28-hour flights.
I wish it was just 5 hours. I was there for 3 weeks one time.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that was the job, and I loved what I was doing, but at the same time, I didn't love where I was in doing it because I wasn't with what was most fulfilling to me, which was my family. I didn't want to miss first steps or first words or for daddy to be the first thing that came out of my daughter's mouth. Like those were the things that were fulfilling for me, and I was missing that, and I couldn't do it anymore.
And it's okay to sacrifice like that if you feel like you're building something. Like it's your own. Like if it was your own company and you were there to help save a project that was going to make you X amount of dollars, you'd probably be okay spending that 3 weeks because you were building something bigger than you for you and your family.
Yeah.
But if you're just working for somebody else and get that paycheck, man, I'll tell you what, that burnout can come pretty fast.
It can. It really can.
Because we as entrepreneurs, we burn the midnight oil. We do the sacrifice because we do have something. We're building something awesome and we're building it for our family. Yeah. So I can see how perspective can change that big time.
Yeah. No, it really can. Well, thanks, Jason. And, talking about hard work, burnout, being self-aware, getting rid of our insecurities, but focusing on something that is truly making progress toward a goal and objective that is fulfilling for us, not always trying to satisfy everybody else's expectations, but being able to be okay with who we are and satisfying our own expectations.
Love it.